UFC 303 this Saturday in Vegas. Could it get any better? It sure can when you get in with my partners, DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. It is a banger of the card, and the light heavyweight championship is on the line in the main event. New to DraftKings? Check this out. New customers who bet just $5 get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. When you sign up, use the code Sonnen. DraftKings, the crown is yours. That's right. New customers can bet just $5 on anything and receive $150 in bonus bets instantly. From the much anticipated title fights to the exciting undercard bouts, DraftKings is giving customers a shot to get in on the action all night long. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. DraftKings is the one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy, where you got a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers, use my promo code Sonnen. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code Sonnen only at DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm in Vegas. I went out to the expo today. The expo is a very fascinating thing. If you guys have never been, you've heard the term expo and you probably think, what's that? The first time this happened, I believe, was 2009. If I'm wrong, it was 2010. And I remember when Dana White announced he was going to have it, he had to explain what that meant. He had to explain what it was going to be, and I just remember thinking, that is not going to work. I just remember thinking, it started like a Wednesday. It's going to be like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It was something like this. It was International Fight Week. You heard that term. Well, I'm talking about the first time we ever had an International Fight Week. First time that term was coined. All the events that went on during the week had to be explained. Now we know what they are. I just share that because I went to it, and it was a massive success. I mean, you could not get in the door. And all the sponsors were different back then. Tap Out had a big bus in there. Toyo Tires had a presence. I'm going back. But I was at it today. And it is just an incredible event. Like, somebody puts this on, and wow, what a good job. They had grappling matches going on. There was one year they had a tournament. Daniel Cormier wrestled Chris Pendleton in his last ever wrestling match at one of these, like while signings are going on and sponsors are taking place and demonstrations. And of course, you got all the food, and you got all the merchandise. It was just a great event. And when I was at it, one thing that I could feel is the star power of Alex Pereira. And I mean, I got to tell you, like, this is the surprise of my career. This is a surprise of a lifetime. You have a guy in Pereira who, like staying on top long in this sport just simply doesn't happen. We haven't seen it. And the guys that have found a way to stay on top the longest, if you're talking about actual days, actual months, or even year as champion, they all have one thing in common. They don't fight very often. They don't do any favors. Like the guy, if you go back history and you look, hey, who held a belt for the longest amount of time? Then you see who was second. You see who was third. I don't know the guys off the top of my head. These are friends, but I'm not looking to call them out, so I'm not going to say their names. But I'm just telling you, they didn't do anything on short notice. They literally did not do any favors. They did not call guys out. They did not go look for the hardest matches. A lot of times those matches found them, but I'm just sharing for you. You don't stay on top long. Like in this sport, you get a guy 20-0 in boxing, no problem. Now, he'll never have been on TV, and nobody will know who he is, and he was fighting down at the tavern, and it's fixed. And I mean, it's one of these things, or arranged, different words that you could use. This is the opposite. The best are going to fight the best at all times. And I'm only telling you that because one way to become a star, I mean, one way for sure to get to the top is to keep winning. How hard is that going to be for Pereira to do? He's fighting the absolute best guys. This is the second show in a row in the industry's premier brand, in the fight capital of the world, that he has saved. And in the process of saving these events, He was even willing to fight Tom Aspinall at heavyweight. I mean, how long are you going to stay on top when you're doing things like that? But I point that out because that is one of constant and many things I can put in the category that he does that other guys don't do, things that are unique about him. I've never seen anything like this, but neither of you. There hasn't been anything like this. This isn't a spring chicken, by the way. This isn't a guy that's been great and he was in the gyms and man, he got a heck of a reputation, but whatever happened, it stopped him from getting in, but he eventually got here. We've had guys like that. Chimaev was like that. Glover Teixeira was like that. Vanderlei Silva was tied up in a deal in Japan where Dana had to go buy the whole company to get him. I mean, we have stories like that. They're very few and those guys are very great, but that's not what this is. You then have other guys that came, I mean, and I'm talking about all sport in the beginning of time that will come over and do really amazing things, like record-setting things, and they'll do it out of nowhere. And 100% of those guys are in violation of every drug policy there is. They just got away with it. There is not an exception, by the way, to the statement I just made. As bold and big as that, and I just encompassed all sports. Those guys that came out of nowhere and did things that were not humanly, because they weren't human. They took themselves to a superhuman level and they did it through chemistry. I'm just sharing with you that is not what Pereira is doing. And I feel like I've seen Pereira do about everything. I mean, I've seen him run. It wasn't the furthest run ever. It wasn't the fastest run ever. I've seen him lift weights. And he worked hard. Strong guy, but he was not the strongest guy I've seen. There is not one thing that he has that I would trade him straight across that I have. I would not trade my years of wrestling experience for his, which is 0. I would not trade my black belt in jiu-jitsu under Fabiano Schöner for his belt, of which I really don't know much about, but I know it's not black. I would not trade my experiences in Abu Dhabi, for which he has none and never even wanted to do it. I would not trade the fact that I fought 51 men for his amateur record of having fought 10. And I wouldn't make believe for you that I know anybody that can beat him. Those things just simply don't go together. You have a guy from a different sport. I don't know what he's doing that is so unique. He has a power. I'm aware of that. But you will have some very dynamic strikers in there. Like when I tell you I don't know that there's a man can beat him, Yuri might win this fight. But I can't assure you that Yuri's going to win the fight. I think that Jon Jones can beat him, but I can't guarantee you that he can. And now he's a leader within the locker room on top of that. He's the one setting the example. He's the one stepping in and saving shows. He's the one that has the sense that God gave Nice, knows how a participation activation works within championship contracts, and so demands that he's in the main event of UFC 300. There wasn't another champion that demanded that. I'm not sure there's another champion that can do math or has even read the participation contract that activated within their contract. I mean, not for nothing. You're going to let a 35-year-old kickboxer with an amateur record come over and be the leader? Oh, by the way, he's taking all the fans. It's a very fascinating thing, truly. It is a truly remarkable thing. So, when you watch him fight, I mean, his lead leg is for a distraction. His rear leg is to hurt you badly. That's true. But then he's mainly using his left and his right hand. Mainly. And it is pretty straightforward boxing. He got a jab, a cross, an uppercut, and a hook. Do you guys disagree with any of this? There's other guys that aren't like that. Like, again, let me just go back to Jon Jones. Joe Rogan does not have a harder guy that he has to call than Jon Jones because Jon will do something in the first 30 seconds that nobody's ever seen before. And it doesn't have a name for Joe to announce. But Pierre, he's real straightforward, isn't he? And his body is different a little. Most of the greats are. Most of the true greats have something within their body that's different. Lance Armstrong had mutant lungs, they report. Michael Phelps, the swimmer, but his length. Jon Jones with his reach. Mike Tyson was shorter and more compact. And Pereira does have a different build. He is tall for the division. He's not the tallest. He's long for the division. He's not the longest. One thing that he does very well, and this is very simple. It's a very simple observation. Like, this isn't super dynamic or something that guys can't go and copy and do themselves, but he will step into the fire. And not very many guys will. They will dance right on the outside. They know what range is. They know what distance is. They're either worried they're going to be taken down or they're worried they're going to be punched or kicked. They will stay out of range, and they will make their opportunity to close that distance just right. Pereira will step into range instantly, where if you're a wrestler, you could make your attack. If you're a striker, you could throw your shot, and he is right there to be hit. He will step into range and dare you. He makes guys uncomfortable. That might sound simple. I'm just sharing with you as an expert in this sport. He does not do very many things that I haven't seen or I'm not familiar with, or I couldn't name another dozen guys that can also do. That is fairly unique. He has a confidence. How he can go 5 rounds, I mean, that's a lifetime to build that type of endurance. He's done it for the better part of his career. I mean, this guy is remarkable. Now, that doesn't even mean I think he's going to win this fight. I do happen to be picking him, but Prochazka's a very tall order. King Mo fought Prochazka. King Mo TKO'd him. King Mo went in the back. He told me the story. Went in the back and he told his team, do not sign me to fight that guy again. Mo felt something. Mo won the fight and he won it by finish and knew that guy was special. And they did sign it. And Prochazka turned the script. In fact, he's the one that finished Mo. And I'm only sharing for you, like, Mo shared that with me publicly. I was filming it. And Pierre also left the ring knowing something about Prochazka. We don't know if Pierre is apprehensive. We don't know. And many people, I'll name drop, but Dustin Poirier earlier today I was working with, picked Yuri Prochazka. And his reasoning for picking Yuri is, hey, look, I already saw these guys fight. They got one completed round, and Yuri won it on all 3 judges' scorecards. He got caught, he got knocked out. I know we can beat this guy because I've seen him winning against this guy. Okay, that is true. Like, that is what happened. I'll just counter the argument by telling you that Pereira does his best work when the finish line is in sight. Like, when the house is on fire and he understands I'm behind and there's not a lot of time, that's when he does his best work. I'm not ready to concede he wouldn't have ran him down another way in New York. And I'm not ready to concede that Pierre can't run him down here. And even if Pierre does lose, you know, go from there. I would imagine there's a trilogy and that conversation can be had. But even if he lost and he left the sport, he has made a mark and he has done something. And he's done it in some way. He's done it somehow that has never been done before. And if you're fight fans, I know that you're agreeing with me. I know you don't have anyone to throw at me and go, oh, that's not true. This guy, guys, I'm going further. I'm telling you, this has never been done before in sport. You do not have anyone that you can name for me that entered a sport at 35 years old and became world champion. You don't have anybody. I could just stop you right there to show you it's never been done in sport, let alone this one. It's very interesting. It's something to observe. It's something to study. If you have more observation, if you have more things about Pierre that are unique that we're missing, call them out. I'd be very curious if you see something that I've missed.